It is December 1775. Benedict Arnold has been given authority to make a march through Maine territory up into Quebec, as well as General Montgomery coming up from Lake Champlain to Montreal, who eventually sacks Montreal and wins, while Governor Carleton retreats back to Quebec City. Now, the two forces of Benedict Arnold and Montgomery are to meet here at Quebec. And after 51 grueling days of surviving in the wilderness, a logistical failure of the sorts, Benedict Arnold is now in Lévis looking at Quebec across the river. Montgomery makes his way up to Quebec. And in this book here, I have Through a Howling Wilderness by Thomas A. Desjardin. And in this book, it tells everything that you need to know about Benedict Arnold's struggle up into Canada and the horrible circumstances he gets put under and all the things he has to fight against, even before fighting the British and the Quebecois of Quebec. Chapter 11, Storming the Walls. With only 2 hours left before daylight on the last morning of 1775, those defending the city of Quebec from within were nearly able to relax after another tense night awaiting the expected attack. Because this was the darkest night thus far, and because the cover of the heavy snow made it more possible to move to attack unseen, it had seemed all but certain the colonials would soon appear at some perceived weak place along the walls. At 5 o'clock, Captain Malcolm Fraser of Colonel Maclean's Royal Emigrants made his rounds from post to post, checking with the sentries to ensure that another night had safely passed. When the captain came to see the sentries between the St. Louis Gate and Cape Diamond, they pointed out an unusual flickering of lights out on the plains of Abraham. The lights themselves seemed fixed, the flickering irregular, as if numerous people were passing between the lights and the walls, each blocking the flames for a moment as he passed. Though Captain Fraser was aware that the nervous sentries at their dark post had awakened and alarmed the city with growing regularity and passed several evenings, imagining hundreds, even thousands of colonials arrayed for battle at one corner of the walls or another. Something about this sign troubled him. Adding to his discomfort were reports from some of the deserters that General Montgomery viewed Cape Diamond as the weakest and easiest place in the city's defenses to surmount with ladders. On each of the previous few days, deserters or escapees from the enemy had also brought intelligence into the city that the attack was imminent, and that Montgomery had actually gathered his men for the assault on 2 occasions before changing his plans. The darkness and snow on this night had significantly raised the probability, and though it was nearly daylight, the captain could not ignore such an unusual discovery or take a chance by failing to raise an alarm. Ordering the sentries and guards on the walls to their arms, Fraser soon had drums beating, alarm bells ringing, and armed men scrambling in every direction to reach their posts. Within minutes, the cathedral bells were clanging and the whole garrison had turned out. Even old men of 70 were forward to oppose the attackers. Now, what ended up happening is a pincer movement between Benedict Arnold and General Montgomery. General Montgomery would take the south approach, and he stormed with roughly 15 to 20 men a artillery piece. Sadly, he ended up getting killed along with almost the entirety of his group of men. And here he is to fall near roughly the place I'm reportedly at, called Breakneck Stairs, within this vicinity. So that will become of Montgomery. And then sadly for Benedict Arnold, who doesn't know anything of the sort, he attacks on the north as that pincer movement. They make it up very far, very deep into enemy territory, but along the way he gets wounded and he is taken back to the colonial lines. Daniel Morgan then takes over and proceeds following. He finally gets to a point where he is to be believed that Montgomery is to meet. And sadly, after waiting for so long, the British take advantage of this because Daniel Morgan becomes indecisive. Daniel Morgan will come and he will be captured, eventually to be released later on. But he's to be captured here. Benedict Arnold and the rest of the men are now going to be back at the lines, and this battle will be over by 10 o'clock. And sadly, Benedict Arnold will then eventually come on to be the traitor we know now. And Quebec is a lesson. Quebec was poised to be our 14th colony in America. There were a lot of Quebecois who joined the colonial cause, but there were also a lot of Quebecois who refused, and they served under the king. And the British were very firm on making sure Quebecois didn't help out any colonials. Throughout this campaign, Benedict Arnold would see all these burned down houses of the Quebecois who were known to help. Benedict Arnold even had 2 informants within the city who eventually were captured and put on ships as prisoners. And what would happen is, while the siege of Quebec was happening, British reinforcements under Howe, I believe, came up to the Quebec City, reinforced, and that's what caused the Americans back into America, thus ending the expedition. After 6 months, they retreat back into America, roughly June 1776. And the Continental Congress was hoping to entice the Quebecois and the Quebec province into becoming a 14th state and to help join the cause, because the French were under rule here because of the 7 Years' War that happened 16 years prior. So, and they came up here to help not only entice the Quebecois into joining the cause, but to secure this province because of its strategic importance. Now what's going to happen is it was Burgoyne who came here. I take that back. Burgoyne showed up, and then Burgoyne is going to end up going through the Saratoga campaign, and that's what's going to happen. But that's the important strategic reason why they came up here to invade Quebec, to bring over the Quebecois to the American side and to strategically hold it. And if we would have won, who knows? Quebec and this area could have been a 14th state and possibly part of the United States of America. But we'll never know that. We just know what the outcome was of our war, and we won. Over that, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and have a good one. We'll see you next time.